I'm back. Even though I never left, I really didn't go anywhere. I just kind of got up and hit stop, and then briefly looked at the video and went, wow, it got really dark by the end of that video. So that ought to be interesting to watch for a bunch of you, unless I decide to reshoot it, which I may do. But anyway, onwards and upwards, yeah. I am Ant. This is Haunt Nation, and I am your host for haunt reviews and movie reviews and, like escape room reviews and whatever else I decide to review. With tea sometimes, and you can see we are tea free. And it is windy and it is cold, and we are definitely in the fall season right now. So, without further ado, even though I don't speak French, I was going to start talking about the Joker movie, but let me just not. Anyway, this is going to be a review for the Blood Prison. Not the Blood Prison, for I guess just Blood Prison. Blood Prison is in Mansfield, Ohio. That would be the second haunt that I hit on my Friday night, on my way through, on my long weekend of haunt stuff. Haunting. Yeah. Anyway, Blood Prison is in the Ohio State Reformatory. It is in an actual prison, and it is, I believe, the prison that they shot Shawshank Redemption in. Probably some other stuff as well. I'm 99.9% sure that we've also seen, if you watch some of these paranormal investigator shows, that we've seen some of these shows also do paranormal investigations in. The prison itself is supposed to be haunted, but you'd never know during haunt season because there's way too much stuff going on. Anyhow, so that was my second haunt of the night. Did the Chippewa Lake. Yeah, Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse first, which was absolutely phenomenal. Find that review. And, maybe I'll shoot it again, maybe I won't, because it got dark near the end of it. I was kind of rambling. Not in a good way. Just kind of rambling and a lot of ums and uhs and whatever. But, Blood Prison. So I've passed this place several times over the years. Seen it, seen the prison, seen ads for it, and just never got around to it. And to be totally honest, one of the reasons I never got around to it was because I've been to Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia, and every time I've gone, I've been there multiple times, it's been a conga line. Their line separation sucks. They just funnel people through, and it's just, the prison itself, beautiful, really cool, the scenery, the place, great, but if you're looking to be scared at a haunt, there's safety in numbers, let's say, right? So you're not going to get scared if a place is funneling you through, by the dozens, and just, we've given 5 seconds, send the next group of 8. Oh, 5 more seconds, send the next group of 8. So, based on my experience at Eastern State Penitentiary, which I've been to several times, as I will reiterate, I was kind of hesitant. And, honestly, I shouldn't have been. So let's start from the top, right? Another haunt that wasn't too badly priced. It was in the $30-something range. I really should have done my homework and looked at this before I bothered to do a review, but they also, like the Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse, say buy your tickets online. So I did. They too have an option for a hands-on experience, which I took. And it is, again, an extra cost. I think that one was maybe $7. So again, ticket was under $50. The whole thing takes place in this prison, and the prison is absolutely huge. Gorgeous looking place, facade, and again, what do I like? I like places. Definitely a facade. The facade to me sets the mood. It lets me know what I'm going into, gives me that vibe. It sets that initial vibe of a haunt. And this place does not lack for vibe. They had a lot of heavy metal blasting, which is always a plus to me, maybe not to all of you. but always a plus to me. And I felt right at home. It was it wasn't super easy where I parked. Like the closest place to me that had people walking to it was like the ultra fast pass line. So I had to kind of backtrack and go around to get to where the front was, and then I saw the front and I was like, oh, okay, that's the actual line. Um, uh, as with all credit, there's always a fee. They do have a VIP option, just like everybody else. Extra money, extra money, extra money. They have a very large parking lot because it's a prison, so why wouldn't they have plenty of room to park and do whatever? And the parking was free. So again, really do appreciate that, especially knowing ahead of time. Hate to get hit with oh, it's $3 fee, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't have cash in my pocket, because most of us don't carry cash, or if I do, I carry little. Anyway, it is a standalone haunt, but it is split inside into different sections, 3 or 4 different sections. I think it's split into 4, but I think there were actually 3 lines, but we'll get to that. So no hayride or anything like that. It's complete walkthrough, yeah? Had actors and animatronics, both. And, as is typical in many, many haunts, which the Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse didn't do, there's the mandatory stand here and take a photo area. So line wasn't terribly long, again, especially for a Friday night in the middle of October. I was very happy with that. I mean, it was a good sized line, but the line was moving. They do have metal detectors and all that stuff. They make you empty all your pockets. They tell you no weapons, no bear spray, all this stuff, which is fair because you're coming to have a good time and be haunted, not to defend yourself, right? So it is technically what we would consider a haunted house, right? It's a walkthrough. It's a big walkthrough. It has actors and it has animatronics in it. So it's got a good mix of everything. As far as theme goes, there's multiple ideas. I was expecting like a complete prison theme, and it wasn't. It actually started out as what I would consider very much almost a classic haunted house kind of feel. Really cool. I very impressed by the sets that they had built, haunted house type sets wise. Like really just beautiful, beautiful set work. Really nice. And same thing with the actors and the costuming. Aside from 1 or 2 people that I saw who I wasn't really sure if they were patrons or actors, because it kind of looked like they were wearing normal clothes. Everyone was in a costume, a lot of makeup, some teeth, some contacts, but all appropriate for their specific sections. So yeah, started out like kind of classic haunted house, down some stairs, into like laboratories and prisons and everything like that. So very cool, and a really, really long haunt. I really wasn't expecting this haunt to be as long as it was, and it was really, really long. So after the first area, queued up again, went through another area, which I don't know if it was supposed to be like post-apocalyptic. I think it was supposed to be post-apocalyptic, just judging by some of the props that they had. And I will say that some of the props that were in this prison, I don't know how the fuck they got them in the prison, honestly. Like some things I was like, the fuck did they get this in here? Like gigantic shit. I'm like, I didn't think there was room to, like, I wouldn't think there was a way to get this on a prison floor. Now, when I'm talking about a prison floor, this is an actual real prison. And most of the haunt is conducted when you're in the cells area on the ground floor. But if you look up, you can see like 3 or 4 stories above you of where there are guardrails and cells where all these prisoners were actually kept when it was an active working prison. So the place is huge, but I wouldn't think that you could get, into that area. They would have a way for these gigantic things to get in there, but they did. So went into post-apocalyptic kind of kind of thing. I don't know if it was supposed to be just post-apocalyptic or zombies or what have you. It wasn't entirely clear. There was, there was one place where, again, you're dealing with just a wide area of the floor that's probably, I don't know, maybe 20 feet wide by however long, a couple hundred feet long easily. And they just put up some fencing, which just had me, going left and right and left and right and, backwards and forwards. Not much interesting, but, there was a lot of smoke and there were a lot of actors in there and animatronics. So it wasn't like it was like a waste. I would just say, if anything, a little bit lazy. But did not diminish the haunt at all. Again, I went by myself. So, that's how we do. They pretty much, when I first started out in it, they did let me in by myself. I took my obligatory picture and I walked in and I was alone. They didn't put me in with a group, which was really kind of nice and kind of cool, because it gives me the impression that, even if you had a group, they would put your group in by itself. Pregnant pause for lighting my cigar again. So they didn't stick to one theme. They didn't stick just to the prison theme, as is obvious if I say they started out with like a haunted house theme. But there were definitely areas that were prison themed, very dark areas. They did a good job of making, a lot of the areas like narrow and claustrophobic. Again, I had my hands-on glow necklace on, and again, as I did in the Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse, I got touched and pushed and manhandled, which I enjoy. I enjoy the extra, I enjoy a little bit of the extra. Not a McCamey Manor kind of extra, but I do enjoy the extra. It's more immersive as far as I'm concerned. The set quality throughout was just, it was just really phenomenal. Really phenomenal. Even when they changed themes, everything was kept up to a fairly high standard. There was a clown area, and if I was going to say there was one area in all of the haunt that wasn't as at high of a standard as the rest, it was probably the clown area, which transitioned into after the post-apocalyptic. So you went through one of those claustrophobia bags, which I just like to refer to as the giant vagina, because it's like you just got to push your way through and then you come out the other side like it's the end of the birth canal. But yeah, through the claustrophobia bags and out into an area that was clowns and whatnot. So whereas some of the other areas, they actually had, like, you'd come out and they'd cue you. That one you just kind of push through. After that area, they did cue us again for a final area. But the sets were fucking fantastic. Beautifully done. Most of them like movie quality. There were little bits of, like I said, little bits of things that were kind of lazy. But nothing that really took away from the experience, and all of the costuming was on point. All of the actors were definitely on point. They were all into it. Everybody was working hard to give you the best scare and the best time that you could have. All of the electronics that I tripped and triggered, they all seemed to work. Everything worked just fine. Some of the things worked a little late, but again, you have to think of it, I'm going through by myself. You have to think of it as most people go through in groups of 4, let's say. So I triggered it. It would have fell, like the thing that was happening would have been triggered onto the people behind me. So I give a little bit of leeway for that, because you can't expect everything to just happen when the first, to the first person, because that would just be a miserable experience for everybody behind them. Again, group shouldn't be too big, because if you're in a group of 8 or 10, things are happening to number 1 or number 4, and number 8 is watching shit reset. Yeah. But it was a really interesting haunt, like a great place, really long. I was completely blown away with absolutely how long this place was. I can't tell you about any changes again because I've never been there before, but they did have certain characters. They have characters that you'll see on their commercial, even on their website. They have the Warden's Widow, which is a very big woman, which to me just kind of comes off a little Frankenweenie-ish, but more evil. Um, I did see that. I did see that character. I did see one of the other characters from the video that stood out. When I saw the video, so they are there, which is always a good thing because you want to see stuff that they show in their advertisements, right? You don't want to get there and everybody's walking around with grease paints and hoodies. If you see somebody made up to look like the Lord of Darkness, you want to see the Lord of Darkness. They did have concessions at the place outside. They had like few food trucks outside. Also inside at the end, they have the place to check your photo, which I'm always surprised at just how bad these photos are because they're like super far away. Like you're here, like a whole bunch of background. I'm like, why would I want to buy that? I don't know. I guess for nostalgia, but I mean, I really think a lot of these haunts, and this just not to single out this particular haunt, a lot of these haunts could really do a better job with, if you're gonna make us take the obligatory photo, make it a better photo, make it a cool photo. Like I was standing in front of the widow's, the Warden's Widow, and it's, it's just a like a standee, but it's big, and I'm right in front of it. If I were taking the photo, I would frame it to where it's just me and the Warden's Widow, but it's not. It's me and the Warden's Widow and the whole area behind us. And I'm like, I just don't understand that. I really don't. They also had a merchandise shop up top, and I gotta say, it was a little disappointing because a lot of the merchandise was more prison related. Like if you were taking a prison tour, some Shawshank Redemption in the prison, and Ohio State Reformatory and whatever, and yada yada yada. And there was very little that actually had to do with the haunt. I would love to see more haunt related merchandise, things that were related to the haunt experience, because we're going there for the haunt. If I want a memento of the haunt, I want something that's going to remind me of the haunt, not the prison tour I didn't take. Bathrooms at this place were also porta potties. So, I mean, that's just standard fare, unless I can only think of one place that I've ever been that had like really normal bathrooms and not, or actually maybe two that I've been that had normal bathrooms and not porta potties. So, I mean, it's just, and I'm not talking about Six Flags, but just standard fare for a haunt, yeah. What did I like? I loved the setting. I loved the costuming. I loved the length of the haunt, the animatronics, the actors. I loved that everything was working. I loved that everybody was in appropriate costumes, especially for the area they were in. It was just really well done, top notch. Like, Jesus Christ, Ohio, what the fuck? You guys are on fire, absolutely on fire. Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse, Blood Prison, Dent Schoolhouse, 3 fucking amazing haunts, all in one state. And on top of it, you have the Haunted Hoochie, which is, in Ohio as well. It's a bit different vibe, It's a bit more, heavy metal punk rock kind of vibe at that one, but still another great fucking haunt. I'm just blown away by how good Ohio is doing at the haunt game. Like, really blown away. Just amazing. Like, really good. What didn't I like? Well, when we got to the queues in the later parts, the timing of putting people through got a little more sloppy. They were putting in bigger groups together, which you know how I feel about that. The timing was still good. They were still spacing, but they were putting, groups of, let's say, 8 in at the same time. So, you know how I feel. You're not going to be able to keep this damn thing lit, honestly. You know how I feel about that. I think groups should be 4 or less. That's just my feeling. That, I think, is what's going to give you the best experience. I really think, 1 or 2, even putting people through by themselves, like Bane used to do way back in the day, is phenomenal, and it really ups the chicken shit factor for a lot of people in the haunts. Man, what did they do better? Like, a lot of stuff. Like, people should go. People that want to make a haunt should go to some of these places and go through and get the experience from some of these places. And I think for a lot of people, it would help them make their haunt a better haunt. Again, what didn't I like? I think we should stick to one theme, right? And if we have multiple sections, that's great. Stick to one theme per section. There were places where I was walking from one section through to the other section, and the theme is changing a little by little. I mean, I guess I could see how the beginning, could kind of fit with the whole thing. Maybe the warden's widow was supposed to be a witch or something like that, and then this is why the prison is the way it is, or what have you. But nobody was telling me the backstory while I was waiting in line, so I can only tell you what I saw. And that's pretty much what I would change. I would just stick to one theme per section. Other than that, man, just again another phenomenal fucking haunt. Another 9.5 for me. So the 2 haunts on the Friday night, Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse and Blood Prison, one being in Chippewa Lake, Ohio, and the other one in Mansfield, about 45 minutes apart from each other, so definitely doable in one night, especially if you fast pass the first one and then go to the second one. Definitely doable in one night. I would definitely encourage you to absolutely make every effort to get to both of these haunts, because they're just spectacular. Absolutely spectacular, and what most haunts should aspire to be. And with that said, I'm Ant. I'm going to get up, I'm going to hit the stop, and then I'm going to hit start again, and I will be on to my 3rd review from my long weekend in Ohio and the surrounding area. Anyway, this is Haunt Nation. I am Ant, and I will talk to you on the next one.